What's up, critical thinkers?
By the way, you see this? Huh? You see this? I don't just have black shirts, okay? Leave me alone.
So I just wanted to make a short video about a concept that is prevalent in philosophy and the theory of knowledge, or theory of knowledge as a discipline. But I also see it in pop culture, like in memes and TV shows. But the thing is, when I see it in academia and philosophy too sometimes, but mostly when I see it in popular culture sources like memes, it's often either not explained very clearly or it's explained incorrectly. And the reason why I really want to make a clear video about this is because this concept actually has a lot of consequences. It's really important that this is clearly and properly understood. So what I wanted to do is make a video explaining this concept that I'll call the types of knowledge in a way that is both easy to understand and also not wrong. Okay, so what I'm referring to is stuff like what I'll put on screen here. It's almost always a pie chart. I've seen this like same image, but just different versions of it so many times, and it's always these three categories, and it's always these proportions. So the least is what you know that you know, and then the next largest category is what you know you don't know, but then almost everything is what you don't know you don't know. So I'm just basically, I'll start naming the categories and explaining them, but based on an analogy that I think is the clearest way to understand it. So first of all, you have what are called known knowns, and these are things that you know you know. So for example, or the example that I'm going to give is an album by an artist that you know you love. You know that you love this album. I mean, it's by an artist you love, but you also love this album, and you know that you love specifically this album. It's your favorite album from this artist. You love this album. You know that you know your love for this album. The next category is what you would call known unknowns. So let's say there's an artist you love, but you know that they have an album you haven't heard yet. You know that you don't know that album, right? So you know, like say you've seen the names of the songs, you know how many songs are on it, you know what the album cover looks like, you know kind of generally the sound that they went for with that album, but you haven't heard the album. You know that it exists, you know that there's songs on the album, but you don't know what they sound like. You don't know what the album is. So you know that you don't know that album. So it's a known unknown. And finally, there are unknown unknowns. Things that you don't know. So let's say there's an album by an artist that you love, but you don't even know that they made this album. Like it's like an EP that they only released in Japan or something. And maybe once you hear it, it ends up having like some of your favorite songs by that artist, but you don't even know that they made it. So you don't know it exists. It's an unknown unknown. It's kind of hard sometimes to come up with examples for an unknown unknown, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's one of those concepts that's hard to provide examples for, but kind of easy to understand in a way. It's abstract, but it's easy to understand just by saying that these are things that you don't even know you don't know. And I think it's definitely right for all these pie charts or whatever, people explaining it, to say that unknown unknowns make up the largest portion of knowledge. I would say maybe information is a better way of putting it, because in there's going to be things that humans don't, it's not just that we don't know it, but we cannot know it. That's a whole other. But basically, all I'm trying to say is that there are things that we don't know. Now, if you have a keen analytical mind, you might have already noticed the problem with this model and what I'm about to say. And it's that there's a fourth permutation here that's missing. There are known knowns, things that you know. There are known unknowns, things that you know you don't know. There are unknown unknowns, things you don't know. But there's another one. There's another one that's missing from this and from every other version of it I've ever seen. Basically, those are unknown knowns. Things you don't know you know. And an example of this would be if you've heard a song and you forgot all about the song. You might have even really liked it. This has happened to me before, where I've listened to a song and I completely forgot about it. Someone might ask you, hey, do you know the song? They might show you the song name, the album, the artist, and you'd say, no, I've never heard that song before. And in that moment, you might say, it's a known unknown. Oh, I know that I don't know that song. Right? But this would be a categorical mistake, because if they played the song for you and you went, wait, I have heard this song. That's the thing. You knew the song, but you didn't know you knew the song. That's an unknown known. But this category is important because unknown knowns, that's the subconscious, that's ideology. I am right now also almost verbatim quoting parts of Slavoj Žižek's lecture on his book On Violence, and please go check it out. I think it's from 2008 or whatever. Žižek is one of my favorite philosophers. His analogies, peace and love, his analogies kind of suck. So I think that my music analogy with like artists and albums that you like and that you haven't heard of before and stuff, I think this is an easier way for most people to understand this concept of the types of knowledge, which I should clarify, there's 4, not 3, 4. 4 types of knowledge. And that last one, the unknown knowns, is so important. These are the things that hide from the awareness's eye, you know? The things that when we look around in our mind with like the eye of Sauron, but our like consciousness, we can't see unknown knowns, but they nonetheless influence our thoughts and behaviors. That's what makes them so dangerous. And it's no coincidence that this would be the category that's missing from memes and from our intuition. It's literally the part of our brain that for some reason, even more than unknown unknowns, we have trouble just arriving at on our own. It takes a little bit of thinking about it, but it's no coincidence because we are talking about the category of things that we know, but that we don't know we know. So, if nothing else, I hope at least this video made you think about the things that you think about, and thinking about the things that you think about. But also that's philosophy, so welcome to the club. We all hate it. I just want to mention a couple more things before the end of this video. Basically, the first is just to go over a couple of the books that have been featured in my last few videos. The first one I want to mention is Violence by Slavoj Žižek. This is one of my favorite books ever. It's one of my favorite books of philosophy. It's a really good intro to Žižek's philosophy. I also think it holds some of his most valuable academic nuggets. And yeah, it really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. I think it was written in 2007 or 2008, but it still holds a lot of relevance today. And even though Žižek is physically repulsive and has some very hard to swallow takes, at least at first, and even after you've thought about them, he does present a lot of really interesting questions, and he has a really keen eye, I think, for culture. And really, once you start following his stuff, I think that you find that even though he's very strange, he's quite prophetic. And secondly is Object-Oriented Ontology by Graham Harman. An alternative title for this book could be Objective Reality, which sounds way more pretentious somehow than Object-Oriented Ontology. If someone was like, oh, what book are you reading? Oh, Objective Reality. Although that's essentially what it is. But this book has posed questions to me that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, and answers that I don't know if I'll ever be able to, but I definitely recommend it. It's pretty recent. I think that OO, Object-Oriented Ontology, is one of the hottest, coolest trends in philosophy right now. But I also think that it is actually the place to be. If you're an analytical thinker and you think about what is reality, like I do, first of all, I'm sorry. If this is what really keeps you up at night and your passion, like if this is what you actually care about, like I do, I get it. I'm so sorry. But get this book because you'll love it. Lastly, I also want to shout out my girlfriend's YouTube channel, Just a Journalist. I'll put the link in the description below, and I'll put a little URL here, but she talks about lots of like internet social drama is a terrible word for it, but she, I think, applies a lot of social philosophy and quick-wittedness to a lot of internet situations that are still really new. We're still trying to figure out how to go about handling certain creators and certain internet protocol, I guess. Not in the technical sense, I mean in the behavioral sense. So definitely go check her out, and yeah, I highly recommend her videos. Anyways, that's it for now. Hopefully I'll see you in not like many months, and yeah, all right, see you in the next video.